Billy, one of the most prestigious recognitions a guitar player can hope for is having a signature guitar done. And you not only had one done, but you had it done by Gibson. And they did a Les Paul for you, which is like the quintessential guitar. Now, I know you're one of the most humble and down-to-earth guys ever, and that's one of the reasons why your fans love you so much, right? So, that being said, I think it's also okay, and it's in fact even important to sometimes, take stock and look at what you've achieved and select, okay, I've done all right. And also to share this with your friends, with your fans, with your clients, and, to celebrate that a little. So let's do a little celebration of this wonderful guitar. Could you tell the story?
Yeah.
How it came about and what it's all about?
Well, I think first of all, it's okay to embrace the good stuff. One of the hardest character assets a person can develop is the skill of knowing when it's okay to be proud of yourself. The line there is so quickly into ego and just being not the nicest of guys. But at the same time, it is a skill to be able to... Someone very early on taught me, if someone says, "Oh, you look great today," the worst thing in the world is to go, "Really? Because I really wasn't," start justifying your appearance. You just say, "Thank you very much." And so I believe that's a skill, and without being, you don't have to be big-headed about it, but yes, embrace the positive stuff that happens to you. And, having said that, when Gibson called me and said, "We're going to do a signature model," I told them they had the wrong guy. I really did. I said, "No, you mean another Billy. It can be a Duffy, it can be an Idol, it can be a Gibbons, but it's not this Billy." And, that's because it seemed too much to comprehend. But they were dead serious. And, we can talk about it. The story was, I got granted, like you say, that amazing honor from the guitar manufacturer that I've played all my life. I was a Mick Ronson fan, Les Paul. I was a Steve Jones fan, Les Paul. The list goes on. Every guitar player that meant anything to me played a Les Paul. And once I got over the shock that I was going to get a signature Les Paul, I got to design it from the ground up. And I learned a lot about the process. They started, there's only one of these. This is the original prototype that they made for me. Now, we'll come to the paint job in a minute. Underneath that, the important things for me in a guitar is weight. When you have a weight-relieved guitar, it's easier to hang on your shoulder, but it just doesn't sound as good. And so I've learned over the years that it's one of the important things is the wood that it's made from. And I was insisting on a non-weight relieved guitar that didn't weigh 20 pounds, like hanging a sofa off your shoulder. So the wood was a big thing for me. The pots, I can't stand it when it's off. Nothing, full on, and it does nothing. There's a technical term for that, but I don't know what it is, and I don't care either. But I got those pots in there, and then I wanted the aesthetic to be gold hardware. Because I've got big hands, I use thick frets. And so this is Dunlop fret wire, but they had to figure out gold. I think it's 6100 or 6600, one of those numbers. That's the fret wire, which is big jumbo frets, but I wanted it in gold. All the hardware's gold. And then Seymour Duncan JB59s, just because they're the most iconic sounding in a Les Paul.
And it is the only one with a white headstock.
Well, I was going to get to that, because that's not a white headstock. And originally, this was how I wanted the guitar to look. It's a fucked up Union Jack, is what it is. And they made this for me, and I pulled it out the case, and I was like, this is it. It's got Billy Morrison and all that kind of shit. And they said, okay, fine, that's a custom paint job. Your guitar will retail at a crazy amount of money. And this goes back to knowing who you are and who you're not. I said, I can't do that. That puts me in the realm of some of the greatest guitar players in the world. And that's a who do you think you are moment. And quite frankly, just getting a signature guitar, I'm thinking like, well, who the fuck do you think you are, you know? So we went back to the drawing board and the physical attributes of the guitar stayed the same. The neck profile was a profile that we worked on that suits my big fat hands. Everything stayed the same, the woods, the pots, the pickups, but we ended up with this. And so this is an homage to Steve Jones because Steve Jones always played the alpine white, but it was faded through time. So this was a color that I went with, like the cream, and I said, okay, well then I want a cream headstock. And they said, no, we don't do that. Our copyright is black headstock with the Gibson logo, and I kept sending them Photoshop mock-ups. Yes, but how cool would it look if we did this? And so probably without exaggeration, 18 months later, I got the go-ahead that they had agreed to do that, which was the first headstock that wasn't black. And the rest of the guitar stayed the same, and you know. And then you've still got the roll down, which I love, which gives it a more, you know? I love this guitar, it's great. And so that's where we ended up. And that's the Billy Morrison signature guitar. Yeah, I'm very, very proud of that one.
Incidentally, I happen to own one.
Well, do you now? You were the guy that bought it.
Yes, surprise of surprises. And since I have one, I also know that this amazing design, which for me is up there with Zach Wild's Bulleye,
Wow.
got preserved because it's on the case.
Right, yeah. We did the case with the Union Jack, and you know, I wanted to do the whole collector thing, but I wanted it to be playable too. And it really is a workhorse guitar. The greatest honor for me was someone sent me a picture from an English newspaper of Mick Jones from The Clash and playing Billy Morrison's signature guitar. He had picked Billy Morrison's signature guitar to play. Now that's not because Mick Jones loves Billy Morrison and is a fan of Billy Morrison. That's because Mick Jones likes the way the guitar plays.
You got it right.
So that's what I wanted. More than, you know, I can't hang my guitar next to some of those crazy, huge names. It's not about the name. I was more about, look, you know, I'm honored to have a signature guitar, but let's make a guitar that doesn't matter whether it's Billy Morrison or Billy Bunter. It doesn't matter, you know. Let's make a guitar that plays and stands out. And that's the other thing with this guitar. You walk into a guitar center, and when this was, because it's all sold out now, but when this was in the stores, all you've got is black and sunburst, black and sunburst, black and sunburst, and this thing stood in the center, and all, you know, kids were like, that one looks cool, what's that? That
was one of them.
That's what I wanted. Thank you. Well, I'm honored.
Amazing guitar. Billy, I've heard other artists call you the mayor of the Sunset Strip. And what I learned is what they mean by that is not that you're in permanent party residence there, but that you're a key node of the associated ecosystem, and that you have one of the most impressive industry-spanning Rolodexes, a true network, but not a calculated one, a trustful one that's been built up over time and that is based on reliably and consciously working with people. giving or investing before taking, and even thinking about an immediate benefit maybe. And I think this is another key element of sustainable success. If you really want to be it in the long run, you can't just, pardon my French, screw people over, right? And I think this is something that is also very telling of your work ethic, of your beliefs, of who you are. And I think it's an important lesson, especially in this day and age where everything is fast-paced and everybody's trying to make it in a heartbeat. So I think there is a lesson to learn, especially for the young people out there starting out. Would you share some of that with us?
Sure. I mean, the answer is in what you just said. The whole answer. It's a trusted network, which means 90% of the time I will get a text, hey, have you got so-and-so's number? And I'll say, no. You know, I also don't ask the people that I know for much unless... I think most people that know me know if I'm asking, it's like, it's from me. And it's like, I want to do this charity show and my heart's in the right place and you would be great there. So how about it? Which is why a lot of people say yes, or a lot of people try and say yes. I mean, everyone that I know is so busy and it's difficult. And it is a bit of it's a bit of a cross to bear, because I didn't set out to build a big Rolodex. I just invented a band that thrives on having special guests, and therefore my Rolodex got big. And these days, I don't want to be known for... Billy Morrison is the guy that can connect me with the guy I want to be connected with. That's not who I want to be known for. You know, connect with me because you want to connect with me. You want to connect with Ozzy? Figure it out. You know, I'm not the conduit to every rock star in LA. And I may have a lot of numbers and email addresses, but I really don't want to go down that line. And the way that came about was exactly like you said, trusted. I understand how everything works, and I understand people's privacy. And I don't know, the whole Rolodex network thing is a very strange subject for me, especially in this town, because the whole town's built on it. And I just think there's a right way and a wrong way to go about contacting someone. You know?
Well, I think it's more when you're building something, right? There's only so much you can do on your own. So you need people to collaborate with. And then there's different ways of doing it. It can be one-offs and shoot and forget, or it can be something you go back to, and that requires the trust, that requires the investment.
Well, yeah, but I think what's important there is it takes time. I've lived in Hollywood for 20 years now. You know, you don't... I see it. You don't go out to a club one night and just start getting numbers and calling people the next day. That's not how you do it. You got to put the time in. You got to put the footwork in. You got to be patient. And look, I have a great Rolodex, but there are people that I could well do with connecting with. You know, there's some people out there that could really help me get to the next level on whatever it is, or this project or that project. But there's also a matter of having faith. And I have complete faith that the universe didn't bring me this far to suddenly drop me like a stone and go, and now you lose everything. If I'm meant to connect with this person or that person, it will happen. What's more important is the value and the reasoning behind what I'm asking the current people to do. If my heart is pure, if I'm doing a charity gig and it's for real and it's charity, and you know, yeah, I'm going to ask my friends who can help me with that. But I'm not going to leave my house and actively pursue connecting with this person because this person can help me. That's the wrong way to go.
Well, I think it's exactly the message, because today, you know, with social media and everything, people sometimes get a wrong idea of what a connection is and how you build up a relationship that you need to first invest. Right?
You could not have said it better. There are, and look, I'm at the low end of the totem pole, let's face it, you know, I'm no superstar here, but I have had many occasions, and I still have them, where a connection on social media, I love my fans and the people that connect with me, but there is a grey area where some people think they know you. And only this morning, and no names, but I had to shut someone down because I went out for dinner last night and I was shown a message where someone I've never met, have never spoken to, is dropping my name and saying they're working with me. And it comes from being open and available on social media. Social media is a whole other subject that I don't want to get too into. I think it's necessary. It's definitely advantageous for me. And 90% of people on there mean well, have a good heart, show up for everything I do, buy my merchandise, buy my goods, and are true. I couldn't do this without them people. But in every cross-section of society, there will always be one or two that kind of push it too far. But you know what? As my friend Ozzy says, when they stop talking about you, or when they stop wanting to take your picture, or when they stop wanting to be around you, that's when you got a problem.
Quite so.
And he's absolutely right.
So to bring it all full circle, I think the message that people can take from your life is, you can have a rough start. Things may not be ideal at the beginning, but if you're conscious, if you then make the right decisions, if you put the hard work in, if you have something that enriches your life and that informs things that you're doing, like with the art with you, it not only may bring you to the next level, but it may also open up new avenues. So you got to be open and mindful, and you got to work at it.
I think if you were wanting me to sum my success and story up, I think there's a number of elements. I think the work ethic is sadly lacking in so many areas, and you're not going to do it without a work ethic. You've got to be prepared to work. If you want the life where you can sit around on a Wednesday afternoon and have lunch with your friends, 90% of the world can't do that because they're in an office working. So if you want that luxury, you better be working hard the other 23 hours of the day. That's the first thing. I think the second thing is be true to who you are. I'm a human being. I'm completely fallible. I fall down many times. I'm an asshole. I'm, all these things. But I can honestly say that at my core, I strive to create as honestly as I can, to talk as honestly as I can, to be open. I think that fans and the people you're trying to connect with respond to that more than anything. Most of the people that follow me and like what I do, like it, not because I'm the greatest one at doing that. I'm not the greatest artist, I'm not the greatest guitar player, but I'll tell you what, I will communicate with anyone and try and be as open and as honest and as real as I can be. So there's that. And the third thing is go with the flow. Don't try and plan in a broad sense. Don't get bogged down in the minutiae of why this little thing isn't happening, because I'll tell you what, the universe puts huge neon signs on our paths, on our journey, but you ain't going to see them if you're looking down. So you've got to have an open perspective to not get bogged down here. If this is not working, it's not working because there's a massive sign right there that says you need to do this. So just be open to what the universe brings you.
Thank you so much. Now, when I said this is meant to be inspirational, I hope that it was. I think it doesn't get more inspirational than this. Thank you so much, Billy.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you very much.